covering news that matters. Fox 23 News at 10 starts right now.
Hundreds of acres burned as wildfires pop up across the state.
I know there's houses just on the other side of these woods here, and we were able to get a stop on it before it got up into the houses.
Firefighters right now working to put out the flames, with the biggest concern that Saturday could be even worse. And at this hour, the largest fire in Green Country stands at about 1,400 acres. I'm Clay Loney.
And I'm Shay Razi. Fox 23 has team coverage of this breaking news tonight with reporters live in Osage, Pawnee, and Wagner counties.
And we begin with the biggest fire near Hominy in Osage County. Firefighters tell us it's only about 40% contained right now. Fox 23's Lynn Casey is live near the fire line with new information on the firefight.
There are still some smaller fires burning in different spots throughout the 1,400 acres that burned out here today. You can see the area behind been burning is a lot smaller than it was when I last saw you guys at 9:30. 5 local crews came out here today around 12:30 in the afternoon. They had some help from firefighters from Texas and Montana digging fire lines to get things under control. When I last checked, it was about 40% contained because of all the areas like this one right here that are still burning. But the Osage Nation crew told me they're pretty confident in those fire lines that they dug. In fact, there were some areas inside those lines that hadn't burned yet. But because of the dry, windy conditions, leaving it unburned would be just like leaving fuel, just waiting to catch fire in a hot spot flare up. So they burned it.
And then we will set a fire just on the inside of that. And as it makes a curve and goes down the creek, the fire should push towards the lake and run into the high humidity in the lake down there, and it'll go out.
Now I didn't know this, but there's actually a registry, and all these fires have names. So the firefighters out here this evening did let me name this one, so it will be known on the registry as, of course, the Fox Fire. Reporting live in Osage County, Lynn Casey, Fox 23 News.
Very interesting, Lynn. Thank you. And what's left of another large fire is burning in Pawnee County. Fox 23's Sarah Whaley continues our live breaking news coverage from there.
Let me show you how close of a call this was for one family here in Pawnee County tonight. Just a few feet. I'm standing right here. I walk up. This is the end of the fire line. This is the fire line right here. That's the house. That family living there tells me they're happy their house is still standing tonight. Fox 23 crews were in Pawnee County as smoke swept across the region and as trees burned in the flames.
Started out like a clear, calm day.
But Mark Whaley said that all changed around noon on Friday when fire approached his home.
There was smoke just pouring out of the woods, and it was obvious that we had trouble.
Whaley, a reserve for the Pawnee County Sheriff's Department, said he called for help, and within minutes, area volunteer fire departments were there, making sure the fire stayed away.
No evacuations, and we have not lost any structure.
Assistant Chief Mark Randall's crew with Peninsula Fire was one of 10 volunteer fire departments on scene, a familiar scene. Randall tells me this fire actually started on Tuesday.
Pretty much worked through the night until 4:30 a.m. the next day.
When he says they got the fire contained, but Friday, Randall says low humidity and high winds caused the fire to reignite, and now over 200 acres have burned. Even though, and fortunately for Whaley, his house in the woods is still intact, and he gives the credit to these guys.
You rely on your volunteer fire department, and those guys they're the best.
Who work even when they're exhausted. And if you look over my shoulder, you can see there are still hot spots. There are actually quite a few hot spots burning around here tonight. Firefighters tell me they aren't real dangerous, but they are going to keep an eye on those hot spots just to make sure this fire does not get out of control again. Live in Pawnee County tonight, I'm Sarah Whaley, Fox 23 News.
And fire burned along Highway 412 east of Catoosa this afternoon. Fox 23's Brittany Jeffers continues our live team coverage from the Oak Grove Fire Department with what she's learned now about the cause, Brittany.
Well, investigators at this point don't have a cause. They're still looking into it, but I'm told that the main goal for Oak Grove Fire Department tonight is to make sure that it doesn't happen again. They're keeping a very close eye on the hot spots out there so that they don't reignite.
Low humidity, dry trees, and grass.
And then with the high winds on top of that, it just pushes that fire along.
A fire that sparked around 4 o'clock off of Highway 412 East grew quickly. Orange flames ripped through these woods.
If I know there's houses just on the other side of these woods here, and we were able to get a stop on it before it got up into the houses.
Fox 23 spoke with the assistant chief at Oak Grove Fire Department. And Paul Summers said that with the help of 3 other agencies, they were able to get the fire out, and then the focus shifted.
Wind chances for tomorrow, any little ember could really kick up and start another big fire on it.
Fox 23 was there as crews went through the woods and put out dozens of hot spots. Summers said that they'll continue to keep an eye on the area over the weekend. So in all, about 10 acres burned today. Reporting near Catoosa, I'm Brittany Jeffers, Fox 23 News.
Fox 23 crews spread out across Green Country covering fire after fire today. One of them near 131st Street and 198th East Avenue in Broken Arrow. It threatened 2 barns. The owner says she returned from being out of town to find part of her property on fire. She says it came just a foot away from one barn and was moving closer to her horse barn.
When we got here, we just came and talked to them to find out what was going on because we have no idea how the fire started. It was just kind of a shock to all of us.
She told us she doesn't know how the fire could have started, though, with no other fires close by. And in Muskogee, a grass fire forced students to be released early from an elementary school. The flames were just a couple hundred yards from Benjamin Franklin Science Academy. Muskogee Public Schools told Fox 23 some of the kids were put on buses to be taken to another school safely nearby. Parents were able to pick up their kids. The fire burned about 500 acres.
A grass fire in Osage County also burned 500 acres and nearly 80% of an Osage Nation park. The fire was near Hula Lake in Washashi. It took at least a dozen fire departments and even firefighters from Montana and Texas to help. State Highway 10 was closed off for at least 2 hours as the smoke was too thick to drive through.
It's probably somebody physically set it last night. It set in 3 different spots last night, and we got it under control, and then today it rekindled, and today's just a rekindle off yesterday's fire.
No one was in the park or camping at the time of the fire. No buildings were damaged.